Veronica Maxwell thought she was publicly executing the academic future of a worthless, lazy kid from the wrong side of the tracks. She had absolutely no idea she had just handed the dry erase marker to a mathematical savant, a boy who was about to systematically dismantle her 27-year career in front of 25 stunned witnesses. And the most devastating part of her impending professional ruin? She was the one who orchestrated the entire trap. She built the trap herself and practically begged him to spring it. The clock on the cinder block wall of West Side Middle School had just struck 9:15 when 13-year-old Thompson hurried into the hushed classroom. The air in the room instantly plummeted by 10 degrees. Veronica stood at the front, her face locked in a scowl. She was a 27-year veteran who treated her classroom like a dictatorship. Her eyes, cold and calculating, zeroed in on the boy's ragged sneakers and the faded backpack he clutched against his chest like a flimsy shield. "Late again, Thompson. Sit down immediately." Her voice cut through the dead silence, but Thompson didn't move toward the rigid plastic chair. He couldn't. Exhausted from months of her bullying, Thompson hesitated, staring at the floor. I can't sit today. Can I just stand?" The request was a fatal error in Veronica's kingdom. Her face flushed red. How dare this charity case question her? The class clown in the third row snickered, smelling blood in the water. "You will sit like everyone else," she mocked. She leaned over her heavy desk, invading his personal space until he could smell the stale coffee and bitter peppermint on her breath. When Thompson flinched but quietly held his ground, Veronica's eyes narrowed into dark, dangerous slits. "Well then, since you're too good to sit with the rest of the class, let's see how smart you really are." She pivoted sharply on her sensible heels and marched to the whiteboard. She aggressively wiped the basic math lesson off the board. Instead, she began rapidly writing out a massive complex equation. She covered the board with high-level calculus ripped straight from an AP syllabus. It was a trap designed to break him. "This," she announced, flashing a cruel, predatory smile at the terrified boy, "is for my AP students. Since you're too good to follow basic instructions, solve this while standing." She tapped the face of a gold watch wrist, her voice dripping with venomous satisfaction. "You have 5 minutes, or I'm dragging you to the principal's office myself." The room went dead silent. 25 kids stared at Thompson, just waiting for him to crack. Veronica leaned back against her heavy wooden desk, crossing her arms with a smug, untouchable certainty. But as Thompson stared up at the board, his ragged breathing began to slow. Beneath the thick layer of his genuine fear, a quiet, terrifyingly precise engine roared to life in his mind. The symbols weren't a trap. They were his native language. 4 minutes left, Thompson," Veronica sing-songed, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. She examined her manicured fingernails, thoroughly enjoying the spectacle of what she believed was a broken boy about to shatter. Zach, the class clown, made an exaggerated crying sound from the third row, triggering a wave of stifled giggles. Instead of breaking, the 13-year-old took a deep breath. Ignoring the agonizing throb in his lower back, he stepped forward. His worn sneakers were silent against the tiles as he reached out and took the black dry erase marker from the tray. He didn't yell, he didn't beg. He simply uncapped the marker, his eyes locked on to the intricate differential equation. And then the magic happened. His hand, shaken just moments before, went dead steady. The squeak of the felt tip against the glass board became a rapid, rhythmic drumbeat. He moved with increasing confidence, translating the intimidating symbols into a flawless integration by substitution. He wasn't guessing. He was tearing through the college-level equation like it was basic addition. The snickering in the classroom slowly died, replaced by a heavy, suffocating blanket of absolute bewilderment. 3 minutes later, Thompson capped the marker with a sharp, echoing click. He underlined the final, perfectly simplified answer twice. He didn't gloat or smirk. He just slowly turned around, his face a mask of profound, unnatural calm, and met Veronica's gaze. The smug satisfaction had entirely vanished from the veteran teacher's face, replaced with a sickly pale confusion. She pushed herself off the heavy oak desk, her sensible heels clicking aggressively as she marched toward the board. Her eyes darted frantically over the sequence of formulas. She was desperately hunting for a mistake, a flaw, a reason to strike him down. But the logic was bulletproof. It was elegant. It was undeniable. "Where did you copy this?" she hissed. Her brain simply couldn't process that the kid she bullied had just effortlessly dismantled college-level math. "Is this some kind of prank? Did you memorize this from an answer key?" "No, ma'am," Thompson replied softly, his voice utterly devoid of fear. "I just solved it. The integration requires substitution and then—" "Enough!" Veronica shrieked. Her facade of professional control was completely shattering. She snatched the marker from his hand with startling violence and began frantically scribbling over her flawless equations. She spun around, a trembling finger pointed directly at the hallway. "Principal's office, right now, for cheating, gross insubordination, and disrupting my classroom." She was breathing heavily, completely blind to the 25 students staring at her in shock. She was doubling down on a losing hand.
Thompson didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply bent down, picked up his faded backpack, and walked out of the silent room, his head held unnervingly high. As he marched down the long, empty linoleum hallway towards Principal Williams' office, his heart rate remained perfectly, chillingly steady. Reaching into the front pocket of his worn jeans, his thumb found the cracked glass of his cheap prepaid phone. He slipped it out just long enough to draft a short, urgent text message to the State University mathematics professor who had been secretly mentoring his genius for the past 6 months. The trap was fully set. Veronica Maxwell was charging headfirst into the abyss, blissfully convinced she had him exactly where she wanted him. 20 minutes later, the suffocating atmosphere inside Principal Williams' office was thick with Veronica Maxwell's self-righteous venom. She paced the carpeted floor, gesturing wildly as she demanded Thompson's immediate expulsion for academic fraud and gross insubordination. Principal Williams, a perpetually tired man who usually deferred to her 27 years of unblemished seniority, nodded slowly, his pen poised over a permanent disciplinary form. Thompson sat silently in the oversized leather guest chair. His injured back throbbed with every breath, his cracked phone resting face down on his knee. He didn't raise his voice to defend himself against her shrill, desperate accusations. He didn't need to. He was simply waiting for the timer on his trap to reach 0. The heavy, frosted glass door swung open without a knock, instantly slicing through Veronica's hateful tirade. Standing in the doorway was a distinguished man with silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses, exuding an aura of undeniable, quiet authority. "I apologize for the intrusion," the man said. His voice was a deep, resonant baritone that instantly commanded the room. "I'm Dr. James Roberts, professor of advanced mathematics at State University." He stepped inside, placing a thick, heavily annotated portfolio directly on the principal's desk. "And I'm here as the academic mentor for my top university-level student, Thompson." The absolute silence that followed was deafening.
The color instantly drained from Veronica's face. Dr. Roberts didn't give the stunned, trembling teacher a single second to recover. He opened the portfolio, revealing months of Thompson's flawless university-level coursework, complex differential equations, and original mathematical proofs. "This kid is doing math your AP students couldn't even read," Dr. Roberts stated, his eyes locking onto Veronica with freezing, absolute contempt. But the professor wasn't finished dropping the hammer. He turned to Principal Williams, his tone shifting from academic pride to a dangerous legal threat. "But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to report the severe welts covering this boy's back, inflicted by Miss Maxwell and her wooden ruler exactly 1 week ago." The trap snapped shut. Principal Williams' polite nod evaporated, replaced by career-ending fury. Veronica stammered, stumbling backward as her 27-year career evaporated. There would be no union representative to save her, no quiet administrative transfer to another school district, and no graceful retirement. Principal Williams stripped her of her keys and security badge on the spot, immediately suspending her, pending a severe criminal investigation for child abuse. By noon, she was being publicly escorted off the school premises by local law enforcement, her 27-year career completely destroyed, while the student she'd tried to break watched her walk away. Veronica thought authority meant cruelty. Instead, her 27-year career ended in handcuffs, all because she underestimated the quiet kid.